place. Beth's watching.
Hi, Beth. It's really, really enthralling.
Hi, Beth.
I wonder if she's just sitting in silence on her end, too.
What?
Sparkly silence is kind of fine.
Yeah. Big sparkly. So far. Long way to drive for a nap.
What can you do? It seems to make me do a lot of ridiculous shit.
Jeez.
I'm like, exactly. You know, could have been a lot simpler. I had ideas.
If
Let
only.
me tell you how much simpler this could be.
Yeah.
Right.
Gosh, well, including the teddy bear.
Teddy bear?
Yeah, we were counting the teddy bears.
What's that?
We're just trying to make it feel like there's one.
Oh,
over
that
here,
guy. I can
you know?
see it. Yeah. Well, I'm here.
Hooray!
It's just so popular.
I know. We all are.
This is the
This
go-to
is what-
destination.
Why am I doing this? Because I have so much else to do.
Yeah. You're within 30 miles of here. This is the place to do it.
Oh, man. You broadcasting?
Uh-huh.
To Beth.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think maybe just that.
Yeah.
Ryan says hi.
Who's that guy?
Ryan.
Oh, I'm like, from there? Is that ride number 2?
Yeah, how could Ryan be in both places?
So what is the topic for tonight?
What is the topic for tonight? Well, in a biographical blurb concerning U.G. Krishnamurti's background, I mean, depending on which biographical blurb you read about him, you know, the chronology and order of events can change. But that's just the whatchamacallit effect, right?
I think of the name CERN. No, but it's not called CERN. Is it?
No. Like, what did Darth Vader say to Luke in that first Star Wars film?
That's on tape. You can go and see.
No, it changed.
I don't know what you guys are
It's
talking
not
about.
what you think it
The
is.
entire
Couldn't
of
remember
recorded
right
history changed. That's
Well,
the
what was it?
effect.
Everyone thinks it's the Luke, I am your father, right?
Yeah,
But if
Oh,
you
that's
watch
right.
the video, I think that's all he said.
that's
Well, like I
like.
said, you can go back and check and see if you were wrong all along.
But the effect suggests that even the historical record, the archival historical record that one might recall from originally seeing the movie has changed. That's the effect. Yeah. Which is like, what?
Too deep for me.
That's way deep.
Yeah, more likely it's like whisper down the lane. People are just,
Yeah, it's too deep.
there's just no substance to anything, and we just.
And things just get worse and worse. So, in his alleged autobiographical record, he refers to a shift in consciousness as a calamitous event, the calamity.
Mhm.
And in other places, or at least this recent read he referred to it as an endocrine event. Maybe he even used the word is there a word endocrinal? Endocrinal? Endocrinalostomy?
I don't know.
Yeah. But he used, biological terminology to refer to his calamity. And that came as a result of, well, as a young man, he said he actually hung out with or met with or spoke with Ramana Maharshi. So that goes, you know, back before the mid 50s, early 50s. Yeah. And I think Suzanne at one point had mentioned this quote that he said, you know, give me the moksha. Can you give me the moksha? And Ramana said, I can give it. Can you take it? And Yuji's response purportedly at the time was like, oh, these spiritual masters are useless. We're not going to find anything from them. So then he studied theosophy. He became Blavatskyized. And then through that, of course, early exposure to theosophy, you know, met and then hung out with for some number of years J. Krishnamurti and his form of blasphemy. So a similar kind of frustration occurred when he approached or insisted that J. Krishnamurti, you know, give him the truth behind all the blather. And it appeared that once again he was refused, you know, a gift of transmutation. So he just walked out, you know, of there. Left his family, and I don't know if that was, you know, wife or how many kids or something, but left his family and apparently wandered around Europe in a penniless condition. And went through the obligatory, you know, despair, the breakdown, right, of the seeking mind, the wandering mind, the unsought urgency of identification. And it broke down. Then he had his endocrine event.
What was the endocrine event?
That was it. That was the end.
What was the endocrine
The
event?
end Crane event.
It was the end of Crane event.
Endocrine.
He was Crane free from then on. It was clear. Everyone could see it. Are you really end of Crane? Oh, absolutely. At the endocrine event. Yes. So, yeah, what is the endocrine event? You know, now there's, you know, a lot of folks that will claim, perhaps legitimately, that they've had Kundalini experiences or Kundalini awakenings of all kinds and sizes. And then, of course, there's the vacillation that may accompany that if you're capable or able to recover from the Kundalini event. There's the vacillation of being, you know, in a sanguine, enlightened so-called condition, and then typical falls from grace, where you inhabit the notion of who you've taken yourself to be, and that can't be any fun. Well, then you have the you know, the fun body of teachings that talk about whatever the fuck, endocrine awakening, Kundalini awakening, and then so-called integration. You know, like Adyashanti will refer to integration, and all kinds of teachers and systems will refer to and take your money, of course, to assist you with integration. You know, Andrew Cohen and his pals, Samuel Bonder and Ken Wilber and a few of those morons will sell, you know, elaborate systems, whether it's waking down in mutuality or other, yeah, I know, or other stuff that speak to, you know, how to deal with, cope with, cleanse, transcend your so-called shadow and your right psycho-emotional issues, and through various forms of cleansing and arduous pursuit. You know, like Andrew Cohen, you know, for the years that he was in vogue, berated everyone for being, you know, insufficiently committed to the task of enlightenment, and that's why they weren't enlightened. And so all of this shit goes on.
I think Ajashani has a line like that too, where he's like,
Yeah.
"You want liberation, but look at your lifestyle." Like,
Yeah, that's, yeah, you can use, yes, you can use lifestyle shaming as a vehicle. You know, urgency, earnestness, seriousness, right? Demonstrations of devotion beyond reasonableness, all as leverage, right? You know, I mean, Sheila should have been enlightened. I mean, she, you know, bought gold, weapons, salmonella, built an army, and, you know, told the media to their face, tough titties. I mean, if anyone was demonstrating, you know, beyond the limits devotion to Bhagwan Rajneesh, it was her. So, I mean, she should have certainly won the golden ring.
but yeah, UG said that like it just straight up like fucked his body up. It was like in bed for like a week or something, and
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And that's, you know, not uncommon. I mean, those stories also of having powerful endocrine, somatic, biologic, chemical fatigue issues are commonly reported. Yeah. You know, you don't know if those are essential, necessary symptoms or prerequisites for anything, but they are commonly reported.
Did Peter Brown report any? Nothing too crazy, I guess. Not
Well,
UG's level.
I mean, maybe the catharses that Peter Brown was experiencing were masked by recovering from radiation therapy for throat cancer. So it's hard to tell, you know, what was radiation fatigue, radiation blowout, and a willingness to perish from this earth because the one's will had been, you know, abolished, demolished, and what was, you know, Kundalini-esque, what was endocrine as contrasted with allopathic. I mean, during the number of years post his, you know, psychic or cosmic commiseration with, what's his name? Kino Tarola. Yeah. He was, you know, on and off bananas. Depending on who you talk to, you know, mostly on. So, you know, maybe those were also, you know, protracted symptoms of being cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Yeah. I think there's some useful takeaways from this, body of so-called spiritual narrative. Typically, as we're engaged with the habit of mind and the habit of association, the habit of narrative, and the aspirations and bracing that accompany myself as a person, with or without security or affection or a good job or the ability to make my car payments or with or without, enviable meditation experiences. That whole realm of, self-association, acquisition consciousness, are occurring downstream of a more fundamental sense of identity that we rarely, if ever, take notice of. And so, because we fail to take notice of the, underlayment, the rudiments of corporeal or animated identity, if we don't see it, don't sense the way that it's operating, then we can only dwell downstream of it in its symptoms. So the malaise that afflicts humanity is the malaise of acquisitive or acquisition consciousness, which itself is a symptom of a more profound, subtle, call it endocrine orientation toward, right, body, mind, self, repeat. That could be why someone like Yu would refer to a shift in that endocrine orientation, the orientation toward acquisition consciousness, as calamitous, as profound, as rocking his world and, forcing him underground for a while. Because that endocrine event in that context was the snapping of, the release of, the crescendo, the collapse, call it whatever you like, of the inertia of acquisition consciousness as, body, mind, and self. For a while there, Peter was fond of saying experiencing, experiencing, experiencing. Not that it was merely the repetition of the same word, right, 3 times.
There was grammar to it.
Yeah, it had all this fun grammar to it. So what is this? Well, this is experiencing. And this experiencing is experiencing. And so that, unicity is another fun metaphor for the endocrine event, post-endocrine event. So that the locus of self, body, mind, experience, acquisition, sensation, sentiment, story, the whole pageantry of acquisition consciousness collapses in an instant as this experiencing wakes up to its own nature. Its nature, not your or my nature. Right? Yeah. And that can't be undone. maybe if you have a Kundalini awakening of some kind, a stroke of whatever, maybe can be temporary undoing, or moments, if not months, if not even perhaps years, of more blissful orientation toward the daily grind. But if the endocrine event takes you out, that can't be undone. You don't go back to, I'm the body, I'm the mind, I'm the story I tell myself, I am acquisition consciousness.
What if there's like another body that's born in this place, like rebirth, or you have like a I don't know, go slip to a coma and come out with like amnesia. Like if you were deluded once, you should be deluded again then.
Hey, why not? I mean, yeah, you can't. Yeah, why not? Every impossibility becomes possible, and every possibility becomes impossible, and why not? Sure. Yeah. Why not? So the orientation then, one's orientation, fundamentally, is a shift in identity from the presumption of self as acquisition consciousness to the closure of that presumption. And so this is this, is this, is this, is this, whatever this is, and really who gives a fuck? Because there's no longer, right, that the urgency in mind or body or soma or emotion or whatever to dial this in for, personal gain, personal safety, personal advantage, because that is shot. The endocrine event took it out, burned it out.
Why is it that every enlightenment claimant is there's no going back, once you see that it's not a snake, it's a piece of rope,
Yeah.
But could you just be another more convincing piece of rope,
Yeah. In a relativistic point of view.
Yeah, we're just talking about appearances,
Yeah.
dreams.
Right. Yeah. In a relativistic point of view, which again I would suggest as a bias is a symptom of acquisition consciousness.
Yeah.
Sure, everything is a rubber band. It can look back, it can snap back. So then, I think the only thing one can do if one is living predominantly under the influence of acquisition consciousness is call it the sage's word for it. Right? Yeah, because
I mean, that is sort of I don't know, it is disappointing, I guess, because you wake up one day randomly thinking you're a person. And
yeah.
Dude's no, it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be all shitty. And it's it's just I don't know. Is that just a temporary reprieve, or it could just randomly become shitty again,
Yeah.
I guess I don't have any memory of past lives, so I'll
Right.
remember it, just put me back in, make me someone famous, we're all right.
That and a steak. Yeah, I'll take the red pill.
Anyone want to be famous?
Yeah.
It's just the line.
Important or whatever, yeah.
I always end up quoting that same damn line, but it's
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's a good line, yeah.
it's just too relevant all the time.
Make me famous
I know the
and the
steak one. I
steak wouldn't
remember
be
that.
Yeah, it's the
steak
same.
wouldn't be so bad, right?
It's the same one,
Yeah, same line.
Oh, I
Yeah.
just only remember the steak part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's shipping, right?
Luke, I am your father.
I thought you said I have some Cheetos.
Yeah, that's right.
Your father, I am.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a Cheeto.
Take the sage's word, yeah.
Now, yeah, I mean, what else?
I mean, I guess that they
Right.
always say that there's some, you even use this word too, not to throw you in that degenerate crowd, but
I'm
there's
in.
some other intelligence. There's some other intelligence that wakes up, so I guess if they're maybe there's some
Yeah.
medium that I'm not really paying attention to.
Well, that's just it.
Yeah, it's
You know,
not-
as
don't
a
have to
product of
remember
acquisition
anything or-
consciousness, it's not possible. It's not possible to inhabit acquisition-free consciousness as acquisition consciousness, though we are capable of profound, imaginative prowess.
Well, you see what I'm saying? Because people like to use another metaphor that they use is like the screen metaphor. And you're like, oh, there's just this some shit. But like, who's to say like another movie doesn't flick on, and then you're just some other asshole? Like,
It could be.
But a new movie's flicking on every, right?
Yes.
well, I'm saying
There's
like,
that too.
what if you like become aware that it's a movie, and you're like, like and then like the moviness is like gone, but then like another movie starts. That's what I'm saying.
Yes. The only
happens every night and all the
the only not problem or there is that we don't have a body of literature of persons to whom that has occurred.
So I guess if nobody says they've had a fall from grace, we'll say this probably won't be one in the future.
Yeah, that's it, really. Unless we had, a whole bunch of Ramanas and a whole bunch of anti-Ramanas, saying, oh yeah, I was the shit for, 2 decades. I was like fucking Brahmin, dude. And then guess what? I woke up one day thinking I was going to go to the bank, because I just had a weekend.
About it 'cause they wouldn't know.
Yeah, they would never write it down. They'd never confess to it.
They wouldn't know. That's what he's saying.
Well,
that they wouldn't.
This is probably people
would
that have killed themselves, right? That would be they'd be a suicide victim. Like, they just don't
Oh.
say shit. They're like, fuck it, we're done.
Most likely. If you, if you got, I don't know, whether it would be 10 minutes or, 10 days, of Ryan free living, and then all of a sudden that dick showed up again. Yeah, where would you go with it?
Oh man.
Yeah, I would like,
Take myself out back to the woods.
yeah, if there's not a suicide machine, I'm going to commit myself to building one and then get in it. Turn the nitrogen on.
But that happens all the time too, and it happens like at night. Like you can go to sleep. Theoretically, I don't
Yeah.
know. I apparently try to recall this, but it seems like I can go to sleep and have non-referential whatever going on, and then wake up
Yeah.
in a dream where I'm like, oh, it's just me dripping with some shitty alternate version of me.
That's right.
It's not even me in this whatever, and it's like what I don't know, and then I wake up and I'm back to whatever. So like,
Yeah. Streaming apparition.
yeah.
Maybe the the glee of post-endocrinal non-referential consciousness is just to see it as, streaming apparition, none of which is taken personally, seriously, about oneself. It's not possible to be threatened.
It doesn't matter if you're experiencing yourself as you or not.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. It doesn't, right. It's strange that it doesn't matter if you're experiencing yourself as you or not. Something meta, right, beyond the perimeters of acquisition consciousness has kicked in and said, peekaboo, you're fucked. No. And, that's what took Yuji's legs out from under him. What he did with it, of course, was unique to his weird personality.
I like the stories about him and his wife. He's sitting there like laying, like can't move, like say I'm dying. He's like after like the 3rd or 4th day, she said, okay, then just die.
Yeah, that's right. Enough already. I can't take it anymore. Yeah,
3
just
days. I would
die.
have been like that after like 1 hour.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 1 hour. I'm gonna go out for pizza and we'll see how it goes.
Here's a little bit of cyanide.
Yeah.
Right there.
That's right.
If you happen to fall from grace, people breathe in.
Just gonna
Yours
leave
is
that on the
mushroom and
nightstand.
pepperoni, or you're not having any? Okay, fine. A little stromboli while you're dying, a glass of wine. Now it could turn out to be, useful, whatever that might imply. If I tangle with the apparitional nature of referential or acquisition consciousness as myself, I'm just going to be in, loops of misery, right? Loops of becoming, loops of anxiety and apprehension, loops of control, loops of wanting to break free from being someone's child, being someone's partner, being an employee, having to have money. I mean, it's just, and those loops, the afflictive loops, as the symptoms of referential or acquisition consciousness, or what we're seeing in the fake news, or anthropogenic climate disruption, or any other thing out there, like apparently strange kids shooting up high schools for fun
completely
and notoriety.
It's so insatiable, and
Yeah.
it's just constant. I want this, you get it. I don't want it anymore. I want something. I mean, it's just constant.
Absolutely.
You don't know what the fuck you want, and nothing feels quite right. So you just keep
consuming.
Yeah.
The somatic identification accompanying the emotional and mental association is insatiable. So, stuff and people and natural resources and food and movies and drugs repeat on and on. I mean, more. What else you got? 2 seconds later, what else you got? And of course, our addiction to the the handheld communication device. Look, right? Go anywhere, supermarkets and movie theaters and concerts and any public place and restaurants and stuff like that.
Real special. Like, she doesn't know you're there at all.
And everyone is buried in.
You're like,
everyone is
like,
buried in there.
Right here, and she's like,
yeah. I'm not criticizing it, or I'm in it as much as anybody else.
The way, that's what I'm here to do all day. It's just a constant too little work, too much work, not enough. It's never just right. It's just not going to ever be just right.
It's that Three Little Bears thing, right?
Yeah.
Goldilocks, right? And the three bears.
Yeah.
Baby bear tried to get, this is just right. Yeah, that lasted. Maybe when we're sleeping for a brief time, depending on the quality of sleep, it's like, this is just right. Why is that? Because there's nothing's going on. The habit of insatiability and data stimulation and entertainment is shut down. They're like, that's fucking great. As you drift off, right, into non-referential sleep. You could imagine, just for fun, how difficult and challenging it might be for, a post-endocrine human, right? Post-endocrine event human to try to communicate the, bliss of constructive dissociation with an acquisition consciousness human. Hey, nice meeting you. Not easy to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank good the crowds aren't so large.
Yeah. When you encounter one, you just play to your strengths and then run.
Yeah. So all of this, not that it's anything at all, of course, in the way that it could be useful, have some utility on the journey to endocrinal breakdown, is simply the mirthful or humorous recognition that whatever is appearing in you as you, whatever matrices of reference are occurring, you just know without having to dissect them that it's all symptoms of acquisition consciousness. That's all. You're like, as a holism, right? As a holographic appreciation call it a practical quality of surrender without surrendering anything. You haven't given anything up, but you see like, oh yeah, it's just me fooling myself without fatigue.
The change is not even here when you recommend noticing, huh?
Yeah.
For all that.
Tried to, yeah. That's right. And yeah, I mean, noticing used or dispatched in a skillful manner could be that. Could be the simple recognition, effortless recognition that whatever it is that's appearing is, an apparitional stream. The feed, it's an apparitional feed. And that could solicit or encourage the quality of, call it relaxation, which could look like, despair, impossibility. Right? Good, why not? Depends on the, let's say, accompanying attitude that comes with the observation that all is streaming apparition. For some, that could be like, whoa, that's trippy, man. And for others, it's, sitting on a bench with effort. Not in a good way.
Yeah, that was an endocrine event.
Yeah. Yeah. What's interesting in it, to me anyway, as a kind of a amateur in all things, is to see the, various ways that post-endocrine humans have shared, exploited, or built monasteries and institutions, right, around what there is to do or not do. I mean, Thich Nhat Hanh, post-endocrine kind of guy, built a, worldwide prison of the Order of Interbeing, complete with all the Buddhist trappings, including the 5 mindfulness trainings or vows, and more seriously, the 13 mindfulness trainings or vows, as if, again, some form of constructive shaming would be advantageous to your enlightenment. And I mean, fucking tick. If, my bias, if you are the enjoyer or non-enjoyer of a post-endocrine revelation, you've got to know that no amount of shaming or constructive behavioral vows, no matter what you call them, mindfulness trainings or blah, blah, blahs, can have any impact at all, ever, I mean fucking ever, on whether you get closer to having an endocrine event of your own. There's just no link at all. I mean, none. So, if you're a post-endocrine person and you create a worldwide institution of Buddhist belligerency and, shaming, right? Body shaming, attitude shaming, behavior shaming. What are you doing? I mean, what? What do you do? My beautiful eyes, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. I am light as a flower. I am forth as a dew. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm making progress now, man. I'm on the fast train to endocrine event. This, the whole body of contemporary spiritualism, spirituality in the West or wherever, you know, well, it's kind of like a Rasputin thing.
Love that guy.
Yeah. You know, or a you know, Gurdjieff thing. You're basically pulling the wool over everyone's eyes for entertainment, for fun, and, you know, for profit. The teaching, if there were one, you know, becomes, well, at least to my mind, deliciously terse. Like, is something happening in your experience? Don't believe it. It's not so much a necky, really, as it is just a refusal to be an accomplice. That anything and everything that's appearing, regardless of the, you know, outcome, that would be a, you know, defenselessness. If I keep, you know, shoveling coal on the goober pile, then it's like flame on as goober. The goober won't give up. Flame on as goober.
That should be the next, I don't know, you have to Google search flaming goober, see what images come up.
I don't know if you want to do all that.
Yeah, that might have to alter the search a little.
Become a flaming goober. Hey, how you? Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Flaming goober. Yeah. What might it feel like to explore a you know, vigilant though relaxed intimacy with streaming apparition? And be, you could say, free, you know, progressively, let's say, free from, you know, the myth that anything at all is happening. Or the, you know, myth of temporality. Experience elapsing, refreshing and elapsing. Yeah. So there's such a, call it a quality of, you know, intimacy or allowability, relaxation, you know, I don't know, various things you can call it. But, you know, here it is. It's always, come on. I mean, realization is, if there were one, is, well, it's got to be this. Now, in a deepening appreciation of that, you know, kind of bias or approach, then the habit of, you know, deferral, deferment, denial, explanation can, you know, collapse. you're not a product of obeying the cosmology, right? Or obeying a set of methods or practices or purifications or things to do or not do. You're not a product of some kind of behavioral shaming. You know, like, come on, stop. Everyone's fucked up. Just leave it alone, man. There's no point in investing in 5 mindfulness trainings or 13 mindfulness trainings or vows of any kind for you to attempt to purify the trivial symptoms, right, of acquisition consciousness in hopes of making advantageous leaps towards an endocrine event. Come on. Stop. So, because any of that, of course, is going to be the reinforcement of acquisition consciousness, not the release from it. Because it's I, being of a certain nature or proclivity or indulgence or addiction, right, will vow to the best of my ability from time to time, day to day, as I can consider it, to behave this way instead of that way. You're like, if anything is going to, put the pellets on the goober fire, it would be that. You want to ungoober this. You don't want to goober it up. You want to ungoober it. If that's working for you. So here this is. But it's hard for it to be a here or this or an is. And if you can discover some, call it delay or spaciousness, right? Freedom from the reflex to anthropomorphize. Here this is, but there's neither here nor is, or neither here nor this or is. Completely stranger than here or this or is. The habit, the reflex of acquisition consciousness comes to rest. It's nice. Like, what if this were the first and the only and the last moment of your so-called life? That's fucking strange. This is the first, the only, and the last moment of your life, whatever that is, ongoingly.
Yeah, and then if you get out from under the whole life thing, it's like everybody drops out.
You're in trouble.
Fuck.
You're totally fucked.
Oh, it's weird because it's awesome and so disturbing and like it's everything all at once.
It is like, disturbing. Yeah. Like, I mean, this, if there were, a justification for doing what it is that we appear to do, it would be that, instead of waiting around, like wandering through Europe, penniless, sitting on park benches, going through whatever, kind of organic despair might be hunting you down, even though that's cool. It worked for you, G, so why not,
Takes a while.
Yeah.
Has to be like quite a bit, it seems like.
Yeah.
Until you're finally like, okay. Well, that's what submission, usually there's a little bit of beating.
Oh, gosh. So I'm just, kind of an advocate, perhaps foolishly, most likely foolishly, of, just leading right into it. I mean, here, this is it. This is the endocrine event. This is both the demonstration of streaming apparition, the the urgency and tenacity of acquisition consciousness, and the collapse of all that in equal measure. The curious revelation, which is no revelation at all, of here this is, without having to be here or this or is. Then, you could maybe, if it was pleasing enough, just refuse the imagination of your life. Just for fun.
Yeah, there has to be, it has to be that feeling. It has to, that's why you can't tell anybody, because you really have to feel it. And then you're like, it's just a different,
yeah.
Definitely not intellectual.
No. I don't know if Stephen Hawking got this, but that movie critic did. What's his name at the end of his life, right?
Roger Ebert.
Was it? Yeah.
Sounds good. Is that guy still alive? Was it a different guy?
Siskel and Ebert.
Suzanne would know.
Suzanne would know. Siskel and Ebert, but I think it was Ebert. He had cancer at the end of his life, and throat cancer, and he had all kinds of surgeries and stuff. But yeah, he had a post-endocrine, meltdown, where he was like, "Honey, it's such a dream. I don't even know where to begin."
Yeah.
You're like, dude, why don't you come and speak to the Night Sky Sangha? He can't. He's dead. We missed him. We've got Eshwar, but we missed Ebert. And that's it's another fun nuance of what might be referred to as noticing. And in that way, noticing is stereophonic or quadraphonic. Well, yeah, you see, whatever this might be, or whatever awareness could be said to be, has the capacity to, acknowledge the intimacy of streaming apparition. That's a useful dispatch of noticing. And it's also quite capable of here, this is, as a texture of intimacy, of presence. And further, capable of, call it noticing, that here, this, there's no here, there's no this, there's no is.
Like here, like multiple channels, like how you went from mono to the like that's how we you only heard a certain kind of thing.
Yes, multiple channels. Yeah. So awareness, which is no thing at all, is multivalent, multi-channeled, multi-dimensional, perhaps. Whatever fun word you want to use. Both in the apparitional nature of context, content, and the apparitional nature of perceiving. And the endocrine event might deliver such a awesome shockwave to the apparent inertia of acquisition consciousness that, dude, your circuits are fried and you've gone multi-channel. And no longer self-referential by habit.
Or at least that's not on mono. It's not on like a mono stereo.
Yeah.
Fucking repeat.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yes. Right.
Really flat.
In human acquisition culture, conformist reality, we are measured by and measure ourselves by and measure others by, what's, let's say, spoken, what's done, what's believed, what's accomplished, what's built, what's committed to, what's sacrificed, right? All of the ways that we, let's just say, value ourselves or other people or, the boss, the employer, the company, the nation state, the local, regional, national politic, right? I mean, our evaluative criteria are, well, they suck.
They're horrible.
It sucks because it's all the symptom
so restrictive
of, right, narrowly focused, narcissistic, if not sociopathic, acquisition consciousness.
Like listening to Pink Floyd Money song on mono.
Okay.
Okay, you might as well just turn it off because no.
Yeah.
So no.
Right. Yeah, or only injecting heroin into one arm. Exactly. So, what's another kind of, thrilling, novel aspect of, multivalent, multi-channel noticing is, holy fuck, if I refrain from, or if the evaluative systems of human consciousness collapse, then holy shit, what if this were the first, the only, and the last moment of the imagination of my life? And I no longer harbored any kind of evaluative criteria toward, anything. The planet, my stuff, right? My behavior, what I do and don't do. I mean, there's no longer the imposition of the myth of evaluative criteria. It doesn't necessarily.
You're not a person living in a world in time. Where the fuck are you gonna go with that?
To go.
I mean, there's nowhere to go.
Yeah, where you are starts to make a little more sense. If you were anywhere, wherever that is, it's like this will do.
Starts to make more sense than
Yeah. Yeah, so an incredibly, could we say, dynamic, disturbing, right? Inarticulatable simplicity.
That's what's so bizarre. Is like, I mean, if someone asks you to try to explain this, you're like, oh, fuck, I'm like floored. But it's like, it's just this, dude. It's just a fucking. It's like so simple and so in your face that it's like. I mean, maybe that's
when
why.
you say this, they like immediately think of something else.
I know. Maybe that's why it's so hard to describe, because if someone's in water and they're asking you what water is, you're like, fuck, this is going to be really difficult,
Yeah. Yes.
Especially since they have like crazy fucking stories about whatever it is they swim in. Like,
Yes.
it's not even like just finding it. It's like you have this shit that's replaced it already automatically.
You know, as the, call them various leaves on a tree of referential or acquisition consciousness fall, including the evaluative systems and evaluative bias, and the, you know, confounding nature of time and space and body and, you know, the whole vulgarity of civilization. The whole vulgarity of, you know, isms. As that, those leaves drop off, you know, I don't even know if you'll be safe at Hogwarts.
Nope. They'll be like, yeah, but what about the magic wands?
Yeah, who's got the Elder Wand?
We can't put our wands down.
No.
You're crazy.
And this is the, you know, this is the chaos, the confusion, the suffering, the acquisition, the apparitional, and the incomprehensible resolution of all that, which is no resolution at all. Whatever consciousness might be, you know, in its capacity for self-reflection. I mean, it's nuanced beyond repair. So, woo. You certainly don't want to sell mindfulness trainings. Or books or tapes. You know, our friend Paul Hennerman makes, of course, some occasional reference to this. When he evokes the suggestion to entertain that you're not that. And what he means by that usually is after he's given everyone, you know, a fun view of how silly, right, selfing is, then the spiritual advice is entertain that you're not that. That's really his, you know, the profundity of his body of teaching in a nutshell, if there were a nutshell. Besides, you know, just the curious chaos of being around it. But from a pedantic point of view, selfing is really fucked up, whether you're an addict or not, or a seeker, same thing. And here's all the funny ways that selfing is fucked up, haha, you know, you're a goober. And the punchline, you're an uber goober. The punchline to the whole thing is, you're not that. You know, Paul Hederman will forever be, I mean, I shouldn't even make the comparison. You know, he will forever be more popular and entertaining at this than I could ever hope to be. And so there is no comparison, and nor am I making one. But for fun, I like to take the thing a step further, which is, instead of leaving it hanging, which is to suggest entertaining that you're not that, well, here it is. This is, you're not that.
Takes that whole like human, like you can do it kind of thing out of the equation.
Yeah.
Get kind of excited about the like, yeah, you can do this too.
Yeah. Explore explore the in your face and up your sphincter present demonstration of, you know, trans-temporal communion. Here it is. Why not cultivate a constructive relationship with nothing at all while you're waiting patiently or impatiently for your own, you know, post-endocrine event? You know, why simply be passive? By now, whatever now is, you know, having read J. Krishnamurti, U.G. Krishnamurti, Nir Sagadatta, Ramesh Balsekar, Wayne Lickerman, Peter fucking Brown, you know, Paul fucking Hederman, Pamela Wilson. I mean, I hopefully scratched the surface, right? We could go through the Dzogchen people and the Chang Dynasty people and the Madame Blavatsky people. I mean, we can go through the, you know, the Akashic record, and you're like, oh, okay, sure. You know, what can you glean, you know, from a sincere, arduous, painful study of all of this referential material? Tapes and the books and the talks and the whole deal. It's like, dude, here this is. Just lean into it. Is that effortful? Not quite. Is it effortless? Not quite. Somewhere between effort and effortless is this unsought demonstration of streaming apparition, the multi-channelic nature of
the
noticing.
Multi-channel is like, it can be completely inactive while being attentive. You know, they don't have, because they're not on the same, they don't have to be the same, you know, it's not all one.
Yeah.
And have multiple.
Yes.
We just think of one, like work, doing, active. Right. Active is a certain way. This is quiet.
Yeah.
This is not active.
Right.
But you can be completely sanguine, but still be active in a different.
Yeah. It turns out that vigilance is bliss, not an act.
Yeah. But it's active in a strange.
Oh, sure.
Way.
Yeah. I mean, euphoria is, you know, yeah. Euphoria and multi-channel sensitivity is active. Yeah. I mean, even if this is a, you know, can be accused of being an academic approach. That's cool. Pour all the teachings into, you know, a coffee grinder, make a cup of coffee, see how it tastes. it's a different or complementary approach than remaining, under the influence of referential consciousness only.
Like getting out from under the authoritarian.
Oh, big time.
Easy.
Yeah.
Because most people are like,
yeah,
5 layers deep at least in authority. You know what I mean? Because you're just talking about the authority
of
yourself.
You're way down on the holodeck of authority.
That doesn't even.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yes. Anarchic, right? Anarchic transcendence.
It's not demonstrative, so it's so weird.
Right.
Not really.
Right. It's perfectly demonstrative, but very easily hidden from view, hidden from sensuality, hidden from the myth of personal identity. Yeah. It's all it is, and yet it knows how to hide from itself, better than I can trim my toenails.
Well, that's not saying much.
And that's not saying much, because I can barely reach them these days.
Come up with a better metaphor than that.
And sometimes they just don't work.
I know.
You reach for them like you're, doing improvisational comedy, and it's like, sorry, that one didn't work. Let's try again.
It is funny because I could imagine a world where like only a few people are like busy, trying to apprehend things, and most people are born and just not doing that. So the other way around, where it's like most people are just trying to apprehend things.
Yes. Yeah.
Sure is good at envisioning different worlds. Mm.
It would be a funny world where like most people are like just hanging out, and then it's just like 1 in 1,000 people are just like super dickheads, like fucking wrecking everything.
Yeah. Could you imagine walking?
Busy and you're just running around. You're like, oh god.
Imagine if you're one of the last unenlightened people on Earth, and some little kid at the supermarket points at you. Mommy, is that him?
Fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Put your finger down, Bobby. Leave him alone. Yeah.
Highly deluded.
Yeah. He's okay. Just take a few steps back from him. They're dangerous. They believe things, Bobby. You better let's leave the store.
Whatever you do, don't talk to it.
And they smell.
Yeah, because they're busy running around and stuff. So they sweat, anxiety.
Smell. You can smell them. Yeah. Yeah, they think that they're themselves. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. We let them run free these days. It's better than trying to lock them up.
You need Blade Runners to go and hunt them.
Yeah. They get the Blade Runner to kill the Muggles. Yeah, right.
Oh, man.
That's everyone else sitting there sipping coffee, hanging the fuck out. The Blade Runners are chasing these Muggles down the street. Dude, why are you chasing me? You believe in yourself. Yeah, another Muggle bites the dust.
This is a good movie.
It is a good movie.
We should give it to Kyle, see if we can put it together.
Kyle can put it together as a clown.
Did anybody see his movie? No.
You just sit around and stare at stuff in the background, smoke doobies, and drink coffee while everyone's
everyone's wearing everyone wears a clown outfit.
See, and you'd have to get one of the Muggles to be the Blade Runner, to go and hunt the other Blade. He'd be like a
you'd have
Muggle,
to.
He's pretty much in line,
Yeah.
Still, he thinks he's somebody.
He's somebody. Yeah, but he hunts for us.
He hunts for us.
Because that's why they're loyal, and you can always find one that's loyal and docile.
Oh yeah. If you believe in yourself, you can't wait to be loyal to somebody.
Yeah.
Bhagwan had it going.
Yeah.
If you believe in yourself, you can't wait to be loyal to something.
Blade Runner.
That's right.
Sheila.
She was the Blade Runner.
That's the problem, you know? Yeah. If you surround yourself, by 50,000 people that are dying to be loyal to something, isn't that enough news? Get out.
Yeah.
Get out. You're like, wait, you guys are actually wearing red fucking clothes and doing dynamic meditation and, various exotic therapies, and you're all doing this on my behalf. I mean, get out of here. So you can see there was a certain kind of, messianic complicity in the whole thing that just wasn't right.
I didn't know it was the scale of 50,000 people.
Oh, it was a scale.
It was crazy.
It was a scale.
I thought they made a few thousand of the cheap.
Oh, no.
They built like a city.
Yeah.
50,000. That's something real.
Yeah, people were flocking in there. Mm-hmm. It's awesome. Yeah.
Must have sucked it in his neighbors.
Oh, yeah. Not so much, the people a lot of people in Antelope, right, sold their homes, right, for great prices. Got out of there.
Well, you want a neighbor then, but yeah.
Yeah, you're no longer a neighbor. Yeah, you want to buy my house? Hey, thanks.
See ya.
Wear red. Jai Bhagwan. Well, that's what everyone did at Kripalu whenever, Amrit Desai was walking around the building. Jai Bhagwan, Jai Bhagwan. If you didn't say Jai Bhagwan, you may as well go home. And no one said, hey, can we
worship the king?
Can we 86 on the Jai Bhagwan? There's nothing here to worship. But, no, that's not how it went. It was like, oh, yeah, Jai Bhagwan. How about 86 on the Jai Bhagwan? What are you doing? You're living in referential, right, apparitional consciousness. Therefore, you identify and self-validate through, right, some elaborate form of loyalty to the teaching, to the teacher, to the place, to the lineage, to the books, to the yoga practice, to the prana fucking yama, right, to the food, to the this. And like, if you're a human being that is, on the loyalty train, my Blade Runner is going to kill you. We don't see it. I mean, Muji and his followers are just following that horrible loyalty model, that, devotional, Jamaican guy in an orange robe model, that he's worthy and desirous, which is worse, of, being worshipped.
He's got the look.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he sells that shit.
Yeah.
And you're like, Muji, it's like 2018. We're all going to die soon. Cut it out. Just tell everyone to, back off. Put on regular street clothes. Have a cup of coffee. Stop indulging in the frivolity and the stupidity, the exploitation of the loyalty model. This is consciousness. It can do anything it wants. It's really awesome. Get free. Don't practice loyalty. But he, no. He wouldn't dare. What would it really look like, for contemporary Homo sapien sapien to be relieved of, right, other loyalty, worship, the toxic tenacity that what all police states are made out of. Whether the police state is, just me or some larger number of people. For civilization to wean itself from authority. Subjugation. Now that would be interesting.
Appears to have a long way to go.
Appears to have a long way to go. But, just like UG, who had, unscheduled endocrine event.
Right. Maybe right after the Anthropocene comes.
Yeah.
The endocrine
Endocrine Pacine. Endocrine Pacine.
The Endocene sounds kind of good.
The Endocene. I like it. The epoch, the Endocene epic, where all of humanity that survived the Anthropocene, not that there will be any, all becomes
history,
spontaneously
so
enlightened.
Scenes after this one, it's the
Oh,
Endocene.
sweet. Yeah, that's right. It's the end of the scene.
Endocene.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Endocene motherfucker.
And we're out.
Yeah. And good night, Chet. Back to you in the studio. Buddhism can fuck off. And the Hindus can fuck off. Wayne Lickerman trying to pretend not to be a symptom of neo-Advaitism. He can fuck off.
He's still alive?
Wayne?
Yeah.
Alive and well.
Okay.
I wish him well. And a long life, too.
And to fuck off?
I love him. He wrote in his monthly column, which he entitles "Hello, Loves."
Oh God.
Oh, it's sick, but he gets away with it. Hello, my loves. He wrote this funny thing. I think I will send it around. His first two paragraphs are like putting down, in a humorous way, the I can't find the word.
Tradition?
The neo-Advaitists, and I'm not sure who he's referring to in that crowd. The toxic, I think he might have used the word toxic or some slander. There was a very slanderous review of neo-Advaitists as if he weren't one of them. I was like, Wayne, you are that, man. He was pretending, who was he referring to? Tony Parsons? His own guru brother, Roger Castillo. Who was he referring to in the toxic, weird neo-Advaita? Jim, what's his name? Who's downstream of Tony Parsons? Those kinds of things. Was that who he was talking? I don't know. Maybe he was lumping in Eckhart Tolle or Rupert Spira or whomever. Whatever. He was taking a really good dig, which I was proud of course, about these neo-Advaitists, only to pretend that he, being the purveyor of the living teaching, was not that he stood somehow outside of that accusation. And you're like, what is this, Coles to Newcastle? Kettle calling the pot black? It was just really kind of funny. He didn't volunteer and say, I am that. Instead, he was like, no, this is the living teaching where you can really get some mileage out of your spiritual search. It's like, fuck you, Wayne. But I do that with, affection, of course. There was an omen the last time I went to see him, which was, I think, around, when was that big hurricane that we had the long power outage a couple of years back? Right?
The hurricane?
This is what, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, that hurricane? Hurricane Sandy? Yeah, we were in California at the time. And went to Hermosa Beach, to visit Wayne. I hadn't seen him in years. And, I didn't make any mention or nothing, just, sauntered in there with my tail between my legs and sat in the room and got fucking high as a kite, which I always did around him. He's good at that. Why do you become popular in this business? People get high as a fucking kite.
General, you go see a good singer, you get high as a fucking kite. You go
Stevie Winwood.
Someone who can whip up a good energy, and it's like,
yeah.
All right. That's
so
cool,
after we left, I didn't say anything to him. I was happy to be there. I was just, like, God, this is a drug. You are a drug. Beth introduced herself to him to say hi and, made some mention of me. And he was just kind of, he didn't have any particular, interest in like, oh, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. It was thankfully, he was just like, ignore that asshole. Like, thank you so much. You have no idea. So then we went out for a drink down at the Redondo Beach Pier.
With him?
No, just me and Beth. And the omen was a seagull pecked a baby pigeon to death on an adjacent roof from where we were sitting there having a cocktail. I mean, it took time. Bam, bam, bam. Just littered that bird.
Did he eat it? Why did they kill him?
Seagulls kill pigeons, because they can.
They don't eat him or anything?
I don't know. I don't think he ate them. No. Maybe it's just,
It was that Blade Runner seagull.
Yeah, there was this town.
You were
This
the
town is.
pigeon.
Oh, I was like, holy shit. Yeah. I don't know if I want to go see that guy again.
God, he did seagull me
Fuck. But even Ramesh's quite prodigious body of work, writings and tapes and recordings and conversations, was way too thick. A lot of it was way too thick, of course, in elaborate non-dual cosmology. Wayne would refer to him as, the greatest living Advaita master when he was alive. I don't know if he can still refers to him as the greatest living Advaita master. I don't think he refers to him as the greatest deceased Advaita master.
It would have to be Shankar, right? The first one.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on your
10
pedigree.
Years old, shit.
It depends on your pedigree. Yeah, how far back you're going to go. Yeah, you can do alternate nostril breathing, or you can worship Patanjali, right? Why the fuck not? So even those teachings, again, I would, they stop short. They stop short, like where Paul Hennerman says, you're not that. Dude, why put the brakes on at you're not that? Why not just go directly into what this actually is? Instead of, pretending to refuse something that wasn't sufficiently true to even merit. And, fuck, why get hung up on duality or non-duality? I mean, even those notions, the ideas of duality and non-duality are so trivial, even in the hands of, Shankaracharya, et cetera, et cetera. You're like, stop. This is the collapse of acquisitive, referential acquisition consciousness. Those do not apply. You don't even have to be that good at it. You can suck at it. You can, be absolutely amateurish, slobber all over the place. But to the extent that you're capable of giving the slightest amount of attention to how, discontinuous and non-referential present experience actually is, you're good at it. You're like, yeah, you're plugged in. You don't need to make a claim. There's no claim. Your behavior doesn't have to be great, enviable.
Most likely it won't be.
Most likely it won't be. Yeah, it's messy out here. It's messy in the, you know, the world, the myth of streaming apparition. You know, is there something to do? Is there something not to do? Yeah, like that's not on the table anymore. Is there something to do with what? On behalf of whom? You know, is there something not to do? About what? On behalf of whom? Why not be the witness to the gradual cessation of personal consciousness? Why not? You know, tap in. Why isn't this conversation for most people?
Not to throw her under the bus, but my mother said she's always afraid it will just be her, the only one that shows up. So she's times when she doesn't come, she's like
that's enough for her not to come.
First it was just too cold, and now it's getting warmer. She's like,
I might end up alone in a room with that weirdo.
I don't want to
Fuck
be alone.
Well, if it helps, let her know that if it turns out that it's just me and her, she can just excuse herself with no penalty. Yeah.
Oh man. That's how mine is, man. It's crazy. Like it'll get you before you even get out, get going.
Yeah.
You've already
Yeah.
paralyzed, not doing that.
Yeah.
I've already created some kind of hell realm.
That's right. Hey, look, I don't want to be the only unglued person in the room. All right, no problem. Just leave. She always has a get out of jail free card.
No,
If she's
because
at
then that
all
loyalty
uncomfortable.
thing kicks in.
Yeah.
Just have to get out from under this weird shit, you know.
I tell her, Jeff is so fucking enlightened, you can just walk out of the room and won't even face him.
You could characterize it that way. It's not that true. Maybe not even
I'll
a little
tell
bit
him
true.
he despises you regardless. So stay,
Yeah.
go, whatever. It's he's not gonna like you, fuck.
Hey, look, she's trippy. She's
All
a
you have to
trippy gal.
do is get to the parking lot a little bit later, come like 10 minutes later. It's real simple.
Oh, you
If
just
his
go to
car is the
parking
only
lot.
one there,
Yeah.
you
That's
just
all,
keep
yeah.
driving.
If all you see is a red car, just go home.
I'll pass out.
Pretty easy.
Yeah.
When I showed up tonight, I was like, oh shit, it's just me and Jeff.
Oh, Jesus.
I still went in, but I knew.
Yeah. Reluctantly. Oh, no.
Oh, Beth could have been here, I guess.
Oh, yeah, it's possible.
I haven't seen her in a while.
Yeah. I saw her just today.
Coming out.
Yeah, she will.
Too cold.
She doesn't want to come in case she's just here with
The
just
only
him
one.
also.
Oh, I'm more of this. It's been all day. Not I guess.
Yeah.
She's got an excuse, actually.
Yeah,
That's
really.
it. I would buy that excuse in her case.
Really.
Yeah.
Dude, you grate on me. I know you. You grate on me. All right, honey, you can go home. When this isn't about anything, when there's some, relief or release from the inertia or continuity of imagination, of self-imagination or self-celebration. It's kind of interesting, kind of nourishing. Not, right? Having some relaxation and release from processing present experience through the lens of self. Like, oh yeah. This might be the best acid trip I've ever had.
I don't know if I'll go that far.
That's a little far, I know. I wanted to stretch it a little bit. Take a leap. Yeah, experiencing is a level of enthrallment that is incomprehensible for, ordinary consciousness. Ordinary consciousness is marred by or marked by a certain kind of insatiability, unsatisfiable insatiability.
I was going to say, for me, it's more like apprehending, failing to apprehend.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Well, because there's nothing to get, so no matter which way you put it, acquisition, apprehension, there's not anything to acquire. So of course it's going to be insatiable because it's like trying to acquire vapor. You're like, okay, good luck.
Yeah, that's call it a major marker or symptom of acquisition consciousness is darting insatiability, OCD insatiability.
Well, I found too, if I really try to apprehend that apprehension, you can get some wonky effects, if you will.
Yeah, wonky. Yeah, right. Yeah. As the habit of subjectivity and objectivity or object assignment relaxes, then whoa, this is wonky.
I don't know, find too, like after doing that, my mind would be like, okay, no more of that. Can't focus on that. Look away, go in here. Doesn't just like tries to like distract itself. Like,
Yeah.
Don't look behind the curtain. Go back. Do what you were doing before.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It really is like destabilizing or disorienting. Or,
Yeah, that's that's kind of like the perpetual dance or the perpetual handshake. Acquisition consciousness looks and feels, runs and ruminates a certain way. And non-referential consciousness is a companion, truly companion reality, has a whole different, feel, whole different texture. Yeah.
Completely different, and it can happen. Switch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how the fuck? It's so bizarre.
Yeah. And, maybe the post-endocrine event is that non-referential sensitivity, let's just say, remains in the forefront, right? Without even any effort. So remains in the forefront that the fondness for acquisition consciousness just melts away.
I want to be the first guy to get enlightened and then go back.
And go back.
Come back, like, it's not worth it. Turn around.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All these guys, they've been lying to you.
There's nothing to see here. Mm-hmm. Do it. I mean, that'd be a real fun addition to the Akashic record. That guy actually woke up and then reneged.
He said, "Put me back."
Then reneged. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be on my yacht.
Yeah.
It's called Renege.
I love it. Yeah. I don't know if anyone will read the book, but you should write it. Yeah. I can't believe the guy had what was he thinking?
Hell and back, and then turned around right back into hell.
Right back into hell. Yeah. Yeah. Then came the Blade Runners. He's a muggle again. Take him out. Well, that's enough of that. Too much bliss. What did Jack Nicholson say? All work, no play makes Jack a dull boy.
I've never even seen The Shining.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a good movie. You should see it.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. I hope it was.
It's real uplifting.
I hope it was nourishing for you. See you next time.
Yeah. No.
It was